and welcome back to the State of Healthcare podcast, or the SOH as we're calling it. Last season, we learned about things from the health provider's perspective. So we learned about our system and kind of some of the frustrations of why it's not necessarily broken, right? It's just doing what it says. We treat and treat. We don't necessarily try to prevent illnesses. We don't try to be proactive for patients. So unfortunately, what we've led to is a system that's not necessarily servicing or providing the actual care that it's supposed to be doing in the first place. This season, we're going along from the journey as the patient perspective. So I'd like to kind of combo. If you haven't listened to season 1, always go on back. But what we're going to be learning is what can you do as a patient? So here we're going to be exploring various conditions, some common, some not so common, and what the people have gone through on their journeys from here. So join us this season as we learn what you can do as a patient to take your own healthcare into your hands in the state of healthcare. Hi, and welcome to our third episode of season 2 for the State of Healthcare podcast. And again, we're kind of telling patient stories. So we're going through like their experiences with different conditions and things like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to Maureen, and I'm going to have her talk through her healthcare journey of like what you've recently been through.
Yes, absolutely. So my name's Maureen, and I met Tracy about, I don't know, how long ago did we meet? 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
Probably longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID took out a chunk of those years.
So I've used her for some physical therapy issues regarding an arm issue and a back issue, which she's definitely helped. So I definitely recommend her. But recently I have had a health issue, which I have told all of my friends has been good news. And that's how I've told them about it, because it kind of is good news from my perspective. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on May 30th, and it was very small, very tiny, and it was caught quickly. So to me, that was good news. And they did the testing for it. I guess you can determine what kind of breast cancer it is. Mine was hormonally driven, so it was estrogen and progesterone driven. And it's a good thing that it was HER negative. I still don't exactly know what HER stands for. I probably should look into it, but it was good news. So, and the doctors said it was good news. So so May 30th, I was diagnosed. I wasn't really scared throughout the process. So I guess I can back it up to March. March, I had my mammogram and my 3D ultrasound. And the reason I have a 3D ultrasound is because I have dense breast tissue. And when you have dense breast tissue, mammograms don't pick up anything outside of your dense breast tissue. They can't see past your dense breast tissue. So they always suggest a 3D ultrasound, or some doctors suggested an MRI. So I did the 3D ultrasound, and they did catch something, the 3D ultrasound did. So the doctor said, I would like for you to go and get another 3D ultrasound just to make sure, a more targeted 3D ultrasound to make sure, it's not cancer, or to see what exactly it is. So I did. And at that targeted ultrasound, they had the doctor look at it, and the doctor said, well, it doesn't look like a fibroid. It's not shaped that way. So let's just do a biopsy, but it's really very tiny. So if anything, it'll be taken care of. If it's cancer, it'll be taken care of. So that's how she said it. And I thought, okay, I really didn't think anything of it. So I had my biopsy in May, and May 26th, and then May 30th was when they said, yep, it was cancer. And they said it was about 7 millimeters, which is pretty much the size of a pencil eraser. And again, the doctors kept saying, well, it's really tiny. It's really tiny. I did have to have I had an IUD, Mirena, since I was 32 years old. So it had progesterone and estrogen in the Mirena. So they said immediately, let's switch that out to a different IUD, which is Paragard, which doesn't have the hormones attached to it. So I did that, which I wasn't too thrilled about because with the Mirena, for me, I didn't have a cycle. So for 15 years,
no period.
no
Oh gosh,
cycle,
you're like,
which was amazing. And I, even healed with my emotions. And so yeah, so that was kind of difficult for me because then I was feeling, all these hormones and I was not used to it and I didn't like it at all. Very weepy, very sad. And then I would get hot and then I wouldn't get hot. So
oh gosh.
yeah, all of these things. And yeah, so that wasn't fun. But so I saw, they had me see a surgeon right away, Dr. Edgar Hernandez with Ironwood Cancer Center. So that's the facility that I'm associated with. Some people are associated with MD Anderson or Honor Health, but they just sent me to Ironwood Cancer Center. So, and apparently Dr. Edgar Hernandez is somewhat well known in the breast surgeon community. He's written a book. He did my lumpectomy. He was talking to me about different options, whether I should do a complete, what do you call it? Mastectomy. Or just do a lumpectomy. And so I opted for the lumpectomy. And what he did was he took out about, 8 millimeters. I don't know, because after the biopsy, it did get smaller. So basically, I don't know, a quarter, or half dollar.
Yeah, he took out a quarter size.
Yeah, very small. And then he manipulated my breast tissue so that I wouldn't have like a divot. So it looks normal, except for the scar. And then he took out 3 sentinel lymph nodes, and those were negative. But he just did because that's what fed. That was what fed that portion of my breast. But it was called invasive ductal carcinoma. So, and it was stage 1, grade 2. So I don't know what that means though. Again, I should probably research that because I mean, it is part of my health, but it's gone. I had the surgery on August 10th. And then I had 10 sessions of radiation. And then I currently have to be on an anti-estrogen pill called tamoxifen. And I was reading a lot of side effects about tamoxifen, hot flashes and weight gain and brain fog. And I was worried about all of those. So I had asked my doctor, I said, I really want to be on the lowest dose. And she said, okay, 10 milligrams. So I started at 10 milligrams the end of September, and I haven't had any side effects. And so I had a meeting with her on the 13th, and I told her that I'd be willing to go up to 20 because she wanted me on 20 milligrams. And so she will be increasing it to 20 milligrams. So we'll see. But I do take that medication at night because I heard that
can maybe mitigate some of the side effects.
Exactly, because you're asleep during the time that it's working. Yeah. So let's see what else.
And that medication is
to reduce the estrogen. It's like an estrogen blocker. So because I'm producing too much estrogen, and too much of that hormone is not good. But then too little is also bad. So.
It's kind of crazy for women that it's such a delicate balance.
It is.
And our own hormone that we're associated with often is what attacks us, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's like, you get cancer. And you're like,
yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Why did he suggest possibly a mastectomy when it was so small?
Because a lot of women just feel like it can come back. So I think that's a lot of the times why that a lot of women are just like, just take them out and then we'll do reconstructive surgery with, fake breasts. We'll either keep the nipple area and then do reconstructive surgery and take out the lymph nodes and you'll be fine. So, but there's always that also small little chance that it can come back in the nipples.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Even with
But
that being removed, you still
yeah,
have option.
so
Mhm.
I just decided to do the lumpectomy, and I just
Okay.
didn't want to go through that huge surgery because I
Uh-huh.
think I would have. I did think about it. And I thought, well, they're just breasts. Like I
Uh-huh.
could just get fake ones, right?
Right.
But
Touche.
then,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I decided I like my breasts and
Uh-huh.
I want to keep my breasts, and yeah, so
Mhm. Well,
that's what
and
I
it is
decided.
interesting that you talked about the dense breast tissue because that same thing for me. So every
Mm-hmm.
time I get a mammogram, it always says you have dense breast tissue, so you may want to do this. But my doctor has never sent me on to do anything else. And I have a feeling most women don't
Wouldn't, yeah,
don't seem to get anything beyond that.
right.
So you have to actually you're
Request it.
blessed that in a level that your doctor seems very proactive
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
and has like done that. So in some level that probably saved you
It
from
did.
having like by the time maybe it would have been noticed,
Yeah.
you might have been a stage 4 cancer
Mm-hmm.
and then you would have had all this stuff and it could have spread and it could have been a thing. Has your doctor always done that? Like has it like
No, she didn't
mm-hmm,
when I was younger,
mm-hmm,
or in my earlier 40s. So it was
mm-hmm,
pretty much only happened about 2 years ago when she had suggested, you
mm-hmm,
have dense breast tissue. I suggest you getting a 3D
mm-hmm,
mammogram. So I thought, well, why not? Sure.
mm-hmm,
And I did. And of course, it came back negative. And
mm-hmm,
then last year, um, I thought, well, I got the 3D ultrasound the year before, so I'll just do the mammogram this year. I won't
mm-hmm.
have to get the 3D ultrasound. So I didn't. And then this year I said, I haven't, it's been a couple of years. I haven't
Maybe I
had a
should do
3D
that.
ultrasound. She said, okay, great. And she said, I'll word it in such a way so
Mm-hmm.
that insurance can cover it. And so
Okay.
you can get it done the moment you're done with your mammogram, just all in
Mm-hmm.
one go. And
Right.
so I think that's great. I think the doctors know, like,
Mm-hmm.
they have to word things a certain way so that insurance can pay for it.
Right.
What sucks though is, so the doctor, my oncologist wanted me to have an MRI
Uh-huh.
to make sure, with and without contrast, to
Okay.
make sure that it wasn't anywhere in my lymph nodes or anywhere else.
Right.
And so she had put in the order, and
Mm-hmm.
I had an appointment the next day at Simon Med, and but insurance wasn't going to cover it.
Okay.
One, they said they needed more time, um, and then after they had their time, they
Mm-hmm.
came back and said no. I got the MRI. I said I'll just pay for it, and it was about $500.
Okay. It's
So
actually pretty good for
yeah,
MRI, to be
it's
honest.
not that, it wasn't,
I was like,
I
all
thought it
right.
was going to be in the thousands, but it
Right.
wasn't. It was about $500. But still,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't have that $500 to just say,
Yeah.
hey,
Let me just get
I'll
this
pay
for
for
my
it.
health.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just said, I'll just pay for it out of pocket. I don't care. I want to
Uh-huh.
know, and I want to get as much knowledge as possible,
Right.
now. Um, so yes, so I had gotten the MRI. My
Mm-hmm.
insurance came back and said, no, we're not approving your MRI. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking in my head, well, I already got it. So
Right. You're like, thanks for your quick response.
thanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
And they knew you had a positive cancer
yes,
diagnosis.
so they
Okay.
still didn't
Mm-hmm.
approve it. So I had to pay for that out of pocket. And of course, that doesn't go
Uh-huh.
towards your deductible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't know
That you paid for
that
this.
you paid for it.
So here's the fresh, like, I know you why you're already frustrated, but
Yeah.
like, not only you have cancer,
Yeah.
but they are stalling. So, right. So when you've
Hmm.
got cancer, the quicker you can move on it, the better results usually, right?
Yeah.
So you delay. So you put this person at risk for more spreading, more metastasizing, and you're trying to prevent it, right? You're just doing this thing. It's not like you're just, let me just do extra couple things, right?
Right.
You're looking to make sure it has not metastasized somewhere else. So you're trying to
Exactly.
prevent other health issues. But your insurance is like, so they would
Yeah.
rather not do that. But then later they'd be covering all kinds of crap when you're super sick because they didn't do the stuff at the beginning.
Exactly.
And I'm like, seriously?
Right. Exactly. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks.
Right.
But yeah, so I got the MRI on my
Mm-hmm.
own. Oh, and then let's see. Did they, I think they paid for my Well, I have a high deductible, so I had to pay a lot. So anyway,
Okay,
I had a
so
high
it's gonna
deductible, so I had to
it's
pay a
gonna
lot.
make sense. Yeah, so they're not covering most of it anyway. So
Yeah.
you're like, why are they mad? You know,
Right.
why is this a drama? I guess for me, like how well you actually seem to handle your journey like really well. Like
Yeah.
and again, you know, it seems like things have progressed. You not it's not downplaying anybody's experience, but to be honest, I have to say I'm very happy that your doctor was a proactive doctor.
Hmm.
It was small. It did not appear that it had gone anywhere.
Yeah.
So it feels like if someone were to have a cancer journey, although it has been an expensive cancer journey
Yeah.
for you. So
Exactly.
yay. And like obviously during that period of time when you're doing treatments and you're doing things, you don't get to do all the things that you wanted to do. I know like we
Mhm.
want pickleball, we want all these other things
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
want to be able to do. But I feel like on a level, like you've been, and again, you're always very calm and like
Hmm.
whatever, but you've been very calm and like kind of just flowing along with it. Do they feel like the IUD was the reason with all the hormones, or I mean,
Mm,
sometimes it's luck of the draw, right? But
right. No, actually, I don't think it was that. I
Mhm.
think they just wanted to take that out because
Mhm.
I just had so much.
Okay.
But I think what it was, so
Uh-huh.
I was also getting testosterone pellets since the
Okay.
time I was about 41, 42, when I was
Uh-huh.
feeling kind of drained and
Mhm.
not, I didn't have a lot of energy. And again, back then my hormones were off and they tested
Mhm.
my testosterone, and my testosterone was, I don't know, at a 13
Okay.
when it should be somewhere, I don't know, in the 50s,
Oh, wow. Okay.
in the
Mhm.
50s somewhere.
Mhm.
And so I started getting testosterone pellets.
Mhm.
Well, when you have uh, testosterone, it
Mhm.
can metabolize as estrogen as well. So
Mhm.
when you have my IUD, with which also had estrogen and
Mhm.
progesterone, then I had my testosterone, was which was giving me testosterone, but also
Mhm.
giving metabolizing
Into.
into estrogen.
Mhm.
Um, and then,
Uh-huh.
so I was taking all of that for several years. So then
Right.
this year, 2023, I just was getting tired of my weight gain, and
Uh-huh.
I wasn't noticing any difference when I was working out more, or my eating wasn't any different.
Mhm.
And I had asked my doctor, I said, I'd like to try. She was either doing
Mhm.
Ozempic or this other sermorelin, which is a human growth hormone.
Mhm.
And that was mainly it. It didn't help you lose weight; it helped you build muscle and
Okay.
some cartilage. But
Uh-huh.
it's a growth hormone,
Okay.
so it
Another
grows
hormone.
things. Yeah, it
Okay.
grows things.
Uh-huh.
So I thought, well, let me try that. So in
Okay.
March of 2023, I
Mhm.
said, well, I'm going to start doing that. So I started doing that, and then the end of March, I had my mammogram and 3D ultrasound, and that's where they found all that. So I'm thinking in my head,
Uh-huh.
I did it to myself because I created that perfect storm where I had all of those hormones, and then I
Amplified
blasted
them.
it with
Mhm.
something, and it just like created that bomb.
Okay.
But I don't think,
Mhm.
I think if I had monitored my estrogen metabolism,
Oh, okay.
then they would have been able to say, hey, let's not
Mhm.
do testosterone pellets, or
Right.
hey, maybe you should get off your IUD.
Before
But
they
I
do this.
wasn't monitoring my estrogen
Mhm.
metabolism. And they would offer it to me, but it was an expensive test.
Who offered that? Was that?
My naturopathic
Oh,
doctor.
okay.
And so, and
Mhm.
I would say, yeah, it's okay. It's like
Mhm.
$400 test.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like,
Uh-huh.
I'll pay for that.
Yeah. And you're like, but
But I'll pay for my $300
yeah.
testosterone pellets because
Okay.
those give me muscles and
Uh-huh.
energy. And
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Mhm.
it's, I don't know,
Mhm.
my brain didn't, wasn't, it
It's
wasn't,
also one of those
wasn't
things
good.
that's hard, right?
Yeah.
So to be honest, and this is gonna sound silly, and I think about it now, but like years ago, I don't know if you remember the birth control, the patch where you could just put a patch on.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've had this discussion with another friend where she's like, I don't understand why women play God with their bodies, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, feminism stuff aside, we're probably just happy to be able to be in control of our bodies in some way, right?
Yeah.
So my thing was, is I would just put another patch on if I didn't want a period. I'm like, screw this. I
Yeah.
don't like this period. I'm gonna not this week. It's inconvenient for me.
Exactly.
But then what happened is I ended up messing up my own internal system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then later there's all these issues with the patch and all the blood clots and all the terrible, because all the things they provide for women, mess us up in some way, right? Like
Yeah.
we all end up with some sort of whatever. So I ended up having to go through all this expense and all this other stuff to have basically someone take me off the patch and birth control altogether, because the hormones just messed with my system and gave me all these things where maybe if I would just let myself naturally have a period and go through life and whatever, I wouldn't have like. So it's such a weird, delicate balance of our hormones and these things,
Yeah.
and my friend was kind of mocking me. She's like, I don't understand the women that play God with their period. And I was like, well, it's inconvenient sometimes,
Yeah,
and there's all these things, and then trying to find that balance, because, we do lose energy, we do have these things, and you're trying to figure it out. And so it is hard. And then, then you're like, oh, now I deal with this, and you kind of flow from there. So
yeah.
how are you feeling now, and where are you at with everything? Like,
So I am feeling good. I don't have I do have energy. It's what testosterone was helping me with was like that motivation,
okay,
to like get up and do something, or get up and go to the gym like I used to want to do. And now it's like, oh, I have to get up and go to the gym because I need to do it. And oh yeah, I really should be working out right now, or I really should be stretching. And it's the motivation, and that's the hard part for me. I miss this testosterone, because they did say don't take testosterone, don't take anything that's gonna like you're not metabolizing it correctly, so just don't.
Right. Okay. So it didn't
Yeah.
work for like with your body.
Yeah.
Chemistry from
Yeah.
there. So no testosterone for you.
Yeah.
You're on the new IUD,
New
but now
IUD and my anti-estrogen pill, tamoxifen,
okay.
which also has its own set of I said
Yeah, all
the
those things.
yeah, the brain fog and the weight gain, and they also said that it can cause stroke
Oh,
in
yeah.
like a tiny percent. So the doctor said, take an aspirin. I was like,
So
why?
let me just add another thing.
Yeah, because it can cause stroke in like a very tiny percent, but it can cause stroke. And so yeah, I think about that. But I think, well, if I'm exercising, so I've taken an aspirin once or twice, but I don't take it all the time, because aspirin's bad for your liver and your kidneys, right? And your stomach lining. I don't know.
Did they say how long you have to be on the tamoxifen? Or
yes, 5 years.
Okay,
5 years.
Okay.
5 years. And then, of course, I think at 5 years, they're going to probably see if I've been cancer-free for 5 years.
Okay.
Because they don't really consider me cancer-free unless I've been cancer-free for 5 years.
And that's kind of standard.
Yeah, that's standard. Because I was like, I'm cancer-free. I tell people I'm cancer-free. I don't have cancer. And the doctor's like, well.
Right, I know. It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
How was your surgical recovery, like after the lumpectomy? Because you said he obviously rearranged some things.
Yeah. So my surgical recovery was, it went okay. It wasn't bad. I had cording because he took out lymph nodes. So what happens is that there's tendons in your arm that get really tight.
Okay.
And so you can't really fully extend your arm, and it can even go up into your thumb, which it was doing for me. And so you have to exercise it up and down and bend your arm and lift your arm. And then my husband would massage me, and so that was a big help as well. And so now I can extend my arm, and it doesn't hurt. There's no more cording. I did have some numbness behind my left shoulder a little bit, which is still there.
Right.
It was sore. It was swollen. I did get itchy, especially from the radiation. It felt hard, but now that hardness has gone away, so it's not hard anymore. I get these little zingers that I still, I touch my left breast with my finger because it kind of itches. I don't know
Okay.
how else to describe
Uh-huh.
it. There are these little zingers that happen, and it's like, ooh, it itches. It's like I just have to press into it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and but that's it.
Mhm.
I had the surgery on Thursday the 10th. On Friday, I went out to eat with my husband and a few of his friends.
Mhm.
I was back at work on the
Yeah.
following week. I work
Okay.
from home, but I do visits, and
Okay.
I did a visit the following Wednesday.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
So
less than a week
yeah,
later, you were back to the
I was
same.
yeah,
Okay.
and um it was sensitive,
Mhm.
but it wasn't sensitive to the point where I couldn't sleep uncomfortably. I was
Mhm.
sleeping on my side. I was very
So you did sleep on
I
that
slept
side.
on that
Okay.
side. I slept on my left side because I'm
Uh-huh.
a side sleeper, so I go from left to right. And I
Uh-huh.
was very careful when I would go to my left,
Oh, okay.
and then I would fall asleep, and then I would have to like when I wanted to turn to my right, it would
Uh-huh.
be, like, oh, it's sensitive,
Right.
and then
You
go
can feel
back to
it.
my right, and
Uh-huh.
yeah. And so I didn't really need to wear a bra, but it felt comfortable to wear a bra.
Okay.
Or so he let me when he discharged me after my surgery.
Uh-huh.
He said, "You don't have to wear any bandages or anything like
Okay.
that. Just,
Go with
just
that.
wear whatever
Okay.
makes you feel comfortable." So that's what I did.
So you don't have any current restrictions, like
Nope.
no sports bras, no like things like
Mm-mm.
that.
I
Okay.
didn't have any kind of
Mhm.
restrictions like that. So
Nice. That's
yeah,
great.
it was great.
Because again, I think where women run into the issues if they do have to remove a lot of the lymph nodes, then that's when they get that lymphedema, right?
Yes.
So the bright side is again, it wasn't in your lymph nodes, and so, but I think people don't even realize how much it does then affect like the arm that's
Yeah.
on that side, especially for women.
Yeah.
So like where it's, I guess, especially for women, I guess for people with like
Yes.
I came out weird, but you know what I mean? So basically
Hmm.
that it would affect, and then you would have to have this kind of like stretching. And so even though there wasn't a lymphedema issue, you still have things that would affect down into there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as far as like a recurrence, I'm not
Mhm.
too worried about a recurrence.
Mhm.
Although my husband says, I think you maybe should be a little bit,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Oh.
a little bit more
Mhm.
worried. I am on, I think there's an Arizona support face Facebook
Facebook group.
group for
Okay.
breast cancer, and there's some women that have had it return, and
Mhm.
they didn't, they had pretty much what I
Mhm.
had.
Uh-huh.
So, or it came back in their lungs
Oh shoot.
or in their
Okay.
bones.
Right.
So, but I'm still not really too concerned about. I don't know what it is. Very
Uh-huh.
nonchalant. Like, yeah, I had cancer.
Well, and it feels like you kind of had a serene experience. Not like you,
Yeah,
well, you're also very,
it was very calm.
uh-huh.
I, I wasn't scared.
Uh-huh.
When my oncologist said, she did suggest after, so there's a
Mhm.
test called an oncotype test, and it
Mhm.
tells you what the likelihood of the cancer coming back.
Okay.
And mine was a score of 19
Uh-huh.
with a less than or equal to 6% chance of it coming back.
Okay.
So she said, with this score, you don't need chemo,
Uh-huh.
but I do suggest you getting a shot that puts you in menopause
Oh,
along with another hormonal pill. I forgot. It's called an AI.
okay.
And I didn't want to be put in menopause. I
Okay.
just didn't want to. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
I thought in my head, I think, you know,
Mhm.
bone aches and sagginess. And I don't
Uh-huh.
know why I shouldn't think that,
Right.
right? But I think menopause is a negative thing, but maybe it
Mm.
shouldn't be. I don't know.
Well, and I also
And
feel
that's
like
my head.
no, it's okay. That's also a really interesting issue because I feel like for women, we don't get education on the changes in our body, right? Just
Hmm.
stuff happens and then they kind of deal with it. And you're like, that's normal. You're just going to be crazy, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
crazy. You're going to lose your bone density. You're going to have all this stuff. And I honestly like feel um, on some level like there needs to be a lot more menopause education for
Yeah.
women because again, so a lot of times the like physicians will do things that just launch women into menopause without the education of what's going to happen to them.
Hmm.
So I think the good and bad, right, of menopause, one, I'm like, no period, but like,
Yeah.
but I think also there is such a negative connotation with it
There is.
because, I watched my hormones like, again, 10 years of kind of suffering as she went through it. It was like her hormones just spiking and the hot flashes and the things and basically all the side effects that you hear about. I watched my mother go through it. And as a child, I was like, not a child, probably like a 20-something-year-old kid. I was like, wow, this is terrible. But then my grandmother basically was like, my period's gone.
Yep.
And
Different.
that was her. I'm sure maybe she had some other stuff happen, but we never, like, hers was kind of like, and then her period was gone, and that was her experience, so it's just, I think that it's another hormonal change for us, but I do feel like there needs to be a lot more education for women, because again, even the stuff we're talking about now, I feel like, people post the things on Facebook or they talk about their journey, but so much that affects women's health, we don't talk about because it's hush hush, right?
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we talk about, there's lots of the breast cancer walks and those are awareness of that.
Yeah.
But we don't like talk about necessarily all the things, like the stuff, like the hormone stuff or or dense breast tissue, to be honest. And we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about cervical cancer. We don't like
vaginal dryness.
And that is a menopausal side effect, right? Or, and I have to say, like, I am lucky in the fact that like my gynecologist is a pain specialist. So he specializes in all of these different conditions and things like that. And it's now like kind of like a very more open. So on some level it's been good because I do have patients that experience things and I think they're afraid to talk about it. And some of them have mentioned things. I'm like, oh no, I've heard of this. And they're like, you're like the only person that's ever heard of these conditions or these things. And I'm like, well, I read all the pamphlets in my gynecologist's office and I ask a lot of annoying questions. So I feel like that, and again, I feel like you don't probably may want to launch into menopause before you have to, right?
Exactly.
Like, so
I kind of want to do it naturally.
So I understand your reluctance.
Yes.
In that regard.
I basically said, I don't really want to do that. And she said, okay. And then she said, aren't you scared of it coming back? And I said, no, I told her, I said, I'm really not. I think it was just a fluke. And I think in my head, it's because I thought I did this to myself. Like now that I have all those things gone, this is not going to come back.
Well, and also
not going to come back.
I know it sounds hooey on some levels, but I do feel like attitude is a huge thing,
I
right?
agree.
So everybody hears cancer as a large C in front of it, and there's the panic, right? There's the panic and the life changes and the things, and you're like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
And some people go through horrible journeys and reoccurrences, and then a lot of times by the time they find it, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like on some level, there's also the possibility, because some of my patients that have recovered through cancer, the attitude and the things that they've gone through has also affected their journey. So I feel like, again, it's probably me just like, but I have that same opinion for PT. Like, so, like your attitude will affect kind of how your rehab goes.
I agree.
On a level. So
I completely agree with that. Completely and totally. Yeah. And there's a lot of, it's surprising when being on these Facebook groups, though, it's surprising how many people in the ages of 40 to 50 and some in their 30s, which is, to me, that's sad. I get it in the 40s because your hormones are really going through a lot of changes. I get that part. But I was just surprised. Like, oh my gosh, they're my age. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Right.
So, and they're all struggling with their, questioning, should I do a full mastectomy? And, talking about hysterectomies because our ovaries are, producing that estrogen. And of course, other organs produce estrogen too. So I don't know.
Well, and it's also, I think what's hard with the various types of cancers, especially those that attack areas for women, is it can also become a big part of our identity, right? Like you lose your breasts, right?
Yeah.
Or you lose or you take out the parts of you that can be reproductive or whatever. So when you're being attacked by cancer, it's basically like sometimes you're taking out the parts that define you as this, and so I think that's why probably a lot of people are struggling. Like,
exactly.
And then you're being betrayed by your own body and your own hormones that did this to you, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So
it's true. Yeah. I would probably suggest to women is to get the 3D ultrasound or an MRI, ask for it if your doctor isn't suggesting it.
Especially if you have the dense breast tissue.
Yes, especially if you have the dense breast tissue. And then apparently I've been reading about like natural things and eating cruciferous vegetables. is supposed to be really good for you, like Brussels sprouts, and kale,
Okay.
and what are some other what are those red hard,
like a radish type
yes.
of thing? Okay. I was like,
Yes.
yes.
My brain not firing. Yeah.
You're like, it's the brain fog.
So eating those vegetables is supposed to help like clean out your liver and your stomach, and it flushes estrogen out. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to read up on things.
Right.
So.
Well, and I mean, you can't beat that if you're eating vegetables and you're
Right.
having a positive attitude and you're trying to do all the things.
Yeah.
It is also hard because on some level, you're like, I was just trying to do all these things to get more energy, to lose weight, to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And now you're like, and then I got cancer. So yay.
Yeah.
So
And now I don't have those things. So now I'm thinking, all right, it's gone forever.
Right.
It'll be gone forever.
Right. Yeah. I believe that for you. I have to say again, because even when I saw that you would, you know, you were very like, no, this is what I'm doing. And you just kept plugging along at it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like we're here.
And I told you, I have good news.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, we're here for whatever. Yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you know, but again, like you were just still doing your things and stuff like that. And but a big reason again that I wanted to annoy you to make you come talk to tell your story was just I think a lot of women don't get that. Again, even my doctor, who is a specialist, doesn't promote. Like he's always like, "Do you need your mammogram or whatever?" But you know, then my report comes back saying the dense breast tissue, but he's never said like maybe you should explore this or you know. And sometimes I think a lot of doctors just do the standard, or they just you know they're kind of in the hurry like, "Oh, it's negative, cool, let's move on." Because again, you're trying to process all these people. So for women, you again have to fight for it.
You do. You have to fight for it. You have to listen to yourself. Like your inner, like something's not right. Yeah. Listen to your body. I did get genetics testing as well, and I don't have any genetic predisposition for breast cancer or for any cancer. Oh, actually. So they tested a whole ton of cancers. So and I don't have breast cancer in my family either. So that's good to know.
Right. So again, that's probably why
it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody.
Right. And it could have been just your perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have the predisposition for it.
I really feel like that was the perfect storm.
Yeah. So again, the message for like, you know, like the hormone stuff, or just listen to your body, fight for your stuff that you need.
Yeah.
Maybe you know, we can eat kale and radishes and things like that. It's not bad. Brussels sprouts is not bad for you. Is there any other piece of advice or any other just comment from your journey that again, obviously positive attitude. I love that you're like, you know, when we're good, I've gone through this. You know, I like that you still fought for it even when your insurance didn't want to cover for things, which again, not everybody has that option.
Yeah, not everybody has that option, which I hate. You know, I hate that the insurance did that, and it makes me angry because I think about all those other people who are like, I'm still waiting on my insurance, and meanwhile,
as they're getting all this cancer,
they're terrified. They're terrified.
Right.
I wasn't terrified. I wasn't scared, but I mean, I wanted it right away.
Right.
I mean, if it were the doctor, you know, whoever's looking at the claim, if it were them, they'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get myself an MRI.
Right. And they're just following an algorithm that's like deny. Yeah. And again, it's if you work for insurance, I'm sorry, but
I do work for an insurance.
Sorry. Yeah, it's true. So, but you follow an algorithm and you look at just people like a number, right? And again, we can say this person who's always trying to fight for the patient. So I guess I'm a little biased. So we'll ignore me going off.
No, it's true.
But I have had to have conversations with them on the phone, and I've literally had to tell people like, I need you to get a person on the phone who actually understands anatomy. So I'm going to need to raise this to a manager because I understand you're just following this like thing. You don't know anything that I'm actually saying. Yeah. And so that's, you know, all the insurance company rage, but
Absolutely.
So nothing
absolutely.
personal in your job.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I guess I'll just we'll probably get ready to wrap up in a second. But
Yeah.
any last bits of things that you want to say, or
No, I just want to make sure that everybody gets their mammograms and their 3D ultrasound
right,
and ask for it.
right?
It's pretty much what I want.
And they do
out
that
of
right,
this.
like a Simon Med or
Simon Med,
okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Or
So,
any other Banner Imaging
okay,
or wherever they have
that they can do that for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you for
Yes,
taking the time and
thank
sharing your
you.
story. Because again, we're all about like trying to like, again, not that we want anyone to have to go through this journey, but like what
Yes.
can help other people or what you've learned from that. And
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
so I appreciate your time and thank you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the State of Healthcare podcast. We hope that we were able to gain some valuable information or at least some insight into what goes into some of these conditions from this patient's story. Again, please feel free to like, always share. Please follow us online at Better Fit Therapy. And again, if there's any conditions or things that we haven't addressed or that you might find interesting, you can always message us online and we'll be willing to investigate. But again, taking your own healthcare into your hands is probably the most important lesson that you can learn from this. So unfortunately, in the state of healthcare that we're in now, you do have to fight for the things that are important. We encourage you to take a more active role in your healthcare and be able to participate so that we can fix this system where we're at now. Thank you again and have a good day.